Welcome, Climate Viewers. This is Jim Lee from ClimateViewer News at ClimateViewer.com. And today we have a win, a big win. Goal! Back in 2015, I went to the Washington, D.C. Environmental Protection Agency building for a hearing on flight pollution. This is a world first hearing on flight pollution. And at that hearing, which was broadcast on C-SPAN, I said that the Obama administration, in order to appease their globalist climate change, technocrats, according to the Paris Agreement, according to the COP21 climate change accord, that Obama was trying to regulate greenhouse gases coming out of airplanes, and that they were using the Clean Air Act in order to do this. So I went to the EPA to say, look, we the people do not care about greenhouse gases coming out of airplanes. We care about two things: poisonous, dangerous metals coming out of planes, and planes farting clouds all over the sky, blocking out sunlight. And interestingly enough, I hit the nail on the head, and I said, what you're doing here is a clear violation of what as I put it, the spirit of the law. That they were using a law already on the books to protect us from pollution, and they were just circumventing everybody's logic and saying, well, that gives us the EPA the right to regulate greenhouse gases. Similarly, the Obama administration came up with the Clean Power Act and the Clean Power Plan. And this would regulate all of the energy industry. Well, guess what? They just got punched right in the gonads. And wouldn't you know it, the Supreme Court agreed with who? This guy. It was priceless. I went when I was at the EPA. Why is chat dead? I'm seeing chat and I see no chat on screen. Chat should have already been there. Very weird. Well, anyway, what's up, Juliet, Marlene, Bob, Ariana, Bamboo Soldier? What's up, Sherwood? How y'all doing? Chat should refresh. Nikki, there it goes. Now it's kicking in. Apparently, I gotta click the button one time before it'll start loading everybody up. Sorry about that. Let's get to it. How'd this go down? Why does it matter? And man, do I feel like this is just freaking hilarious to me. So, when I went to the EPA, and all links are in the details. If you're watching this anywhere else, be sure to come over to YouTube and hold your nose. Type in ClimateViewer and hit that subscribe button with the bell. Or if you're watching this on BitChute, Rumble, or Odyssey, hit the subscribe button there too. And you can always support my work at connect.climateviewer.com. Your support is needed now more than ever. Everybody's hurting. I'm struggling. We're all struggling. And we all know why. That being said, let's go to the tail of the tape. So back in August 11th, 2015, and this is my speech to the EPA on flight pollution. And, I went through the whole thing, how it started. Earth Justice sues EPA over flight pollution. And I made this picture with the EPA versus the International Civil Aviation Organization. As you notice that this is from 2014. So I had to bring that back and update it just for the lulz. it's fun to play with your Photoshops, you know. So I redid the picture in the spirit of this one right here. But regardless, so Earth Justice and other NGOs sued the EPA over flight pollution, saying they need to, regulate greenhouse gases. And then I, of course, said I want to go and give a speech on this. The EPA begged me not to. I said I'm going anyway. And then, it was happening. I'm like, this shit is happening. So I put out this, hashtag Cloudgate, hashtag OpChemtrails. Submit your comments to the EPA. I try to get as many people involved as possible, before this. And, I gave a draft of my speech here, and then I said, see the final version here. But regardless, here's where we're at. This has got all the links in one. This was published August 9th, 2015. And in it, you can see my video and my entire speech with references for the entire speech that I gave while I was there. And all those references are at the bottom here, in that good old MLA format for you to just scroll through. Anyway, so what we have is, I'm going to play this real quick. This is what I said. Oh,
hi, my name is James Lee. I'm from Sumter, South Carolina. I'm a citizen. Why is the EPA claiming that 6 greenhouse gases emitted from jet planes are a threat to human health under the Clean Air Act while doing nothing to address ongoing lawsuits over leaded aviation gasoline?
Good Lord.
Or the real
that
health
much
concerns of stakeholders worldwide? Cancer-causing heavy metals and fuels in their additives and aviation-induced cloudiness. You, the EPA, claim the authority to regulate aviation emissions under the Clean Air Act, a law that should protect us from the aforementioned poisonous pollution. However, the definition of pollution is being perverted to mean climate change gases in what can only be called a violation of the spirit of the law. Air pollution, which may reasonably be anticipated.
And you can watch the rest of it later, man. Bro, best day ever. Best day ever. But a violation of the spirit of the law. I look like I'm 20. Damn. Have I aged that much? Well, Graves' disease. If you think, let's be real, people. If you think I look like I've aged a lot, you should go look at Jet Li. Jet Li, the martial artist, Jetli. He had Graves' disease as well, and he went from looking like he was 40 to 80. Like, damn, it's debilitating. Nonetheless, they cut this thyroid out, and I'm not aging anymore. In fact, I'm aging backwards, like Benjamin frickin' Button. But I did, like I said, I told him, I think you're violating the spirit of the law. I don't believe the Clean Air Act was intended to be used this way. And guess what? The Supreme Court agrees with me. It's great being right. Oh, it just feels so freaking wonderful. This is from the Washington Times. Supreme Court's EPA ruling is a win for the country. It all started in 2015 when the EPA hijacked an obscure section of the Clean Air Act to try to dictate how the nation would produce electricity. Now, this is specifically about, but the EPA's self-styled Clean Power Plan bore the fatal flaw of a classic agency power grab. The American people, through Congress, never approved it. So West Virginia and others took the EPA to court. When the DC Circuit blessed and even expanded this overreach, the Supreme Court stepped in to have the final say. What followed was a blistering rebuke of agency overreach. Now, this case, West Virginia versus the EPA, specifically was about coal-fired power plants and, Obama's war on coal with the Clean Power Plan. Similarly, he was doing the same thing with aviation, trying to get them to regulate greenhouse gases coming out of jet aircraft while ignoring all of the other problems that we've had for decades on end. So they're all, in both what they were doing to the airplanes and the power companies were under the guise of the Clean Air Act. That's why I say this is a hell of a win for me. I love being right. I think everybody loves being right, but it just happens so damn often that I have not got tired of winning. This is great. The court firmly rejected the EPA's attempt to use a previously little used backwater of the Clean Air Act as a means to, quote, force a nationwide transition away from the use of coal to generate electricity. Because of the EPA's overreach, the Clean Power Plan presented one of the extraordinary cases in which both the separation of powers and practical understanding of legislative intent made the court reluctant to read into ambiguous statutory text the delegation claimed to be lurking there. Indeed, EPA purported to wield newly discovered unprecedented power over American industry, deciding on its own that, quote, that it would be best if coal made up a much smaller share of the national electricity generation, but this effort required comparative expertise EPA did not have and authority, quote, Congress certainly has not deferred it. And this is the best. This is so, whoever wrote this. In other words, the American people tell the federal government the American people tell the federal government when and how federal powers may expand, not the other way around. And especially not in the name of the federal government, of what the federal government says is best for Americans as a whole. Quote, of all tyrannies, wrote C.S. Lewis, quote, a tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. As those who torment us for our own good will torment us without end, for they do so with the approval of their own conscience. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah. That is so beautiful. And that is exactly what's going on here. So, because we elect Congress people write laws. Jim does have an email. It's jim@climateviewer.com. If you go to connect.climateviewer.com, all of my links and details are there. My phone number, my email, my BitChute, my Rumble, Odyssey, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Getter, every way to get in touch with me. It's all there. So just, that's an easy way to find it. But this is absolutely priceless. Congress writes laws. They make these, bureaucratic institutions, and the bureaucrats think that they have more power than they do. And they constantly try to grab more power. And so, in other words, unless Congress actually goes and says, you know what, we did pass the Clean Air Act, but we didn't write anything about greenhouse gases in there. No matter how deeply you try to read into it, just like Jim said in 2015 when he went in front of the EPA, that you are violating the spirit of the law by trying to read words into it that are not there. That's why we have a Supreme Court, to take the founding documents and say, is it in the spirit of or the text of the Constitution? If it's not, those rights belong to the states. And if it's not there, those rights belong to you because God gave you them. Period. End of story. And in this case, the EPA was overreaching. I said so in 2015. The freaking U.S. Supreme Court said so this month. Oh, it just doesn't get any better than this. Anyway, also, I'm just going to quickly show y'all some crying, because what good would a massive win for the country be without some whining Well, also on Investopedia, Supreme Court ruling against EPA's oversight and the future of emissions regulations. Episode 16 of the Green Investor podcast from Investopedia. You can hear him cry all about it. The American Geophysical Union opposes U.S. Supreme Court decision to erode emissions regulations. Not eroding emissions regulations. They're saying you MFers can't regulate greenhouse gases based on a Clean Air Act that had nothing to do with greenhouse gases. You need a law in order to enforce those types of regulations. So guess what? Now you got to go beg a bunch of new green dealers to get out and write a freaking law. Otherwise, F off. And I think that is great. I think it's great. And finally, at the MSN.com, big problems. The Supreme Court handcuffed EPA on climate change. Shit, I'm going to use that title. Oh, Lord. No joke. I said, I saw that one and I was like, you know what? I'm going to use that title. Supreme Court handcuffs EPA on climate change. And they should be. So that's a great thing. That's a great day. I'm thoroughly stoked about it. Nothing but wins. Everybody's so busy paying attention to the Dobbs case and to overturning Roe v. Wade. They're paying attention to the concealed carry decision on New York, and New York's already trying to find ways to circumvent that. Of course, they threw away the stay in Mexico policy. I don't really talk about politics, but this I had to talk about because you know why? Seeing climate change ideologues who are trying to hijack laws on the books to use them to impose their will on you get their ass kicked? Fucking win! Anyway, great day for me, great day for you, great day for us all. Go back and watch my original speech. They did nothing about any of the things. It's not like the EPA said, you know what, Jim? We are concerned about climate change. And guess what? Clouds coming from planes affect climate change more than greenhouse gases. But you know what? In fact, those clouds exacerbate all the greenhouse gases that come from all the other things that you talk about because they create a blanket over the sky where heat cannot get back to space. So they actually are creating a Venus effect where suddenly, oh yeah, the shade cools during the day, but at nighttime, that heat can't escape to space. So it actually, and I said all this in 2015, they ignored all that shit because it was already rigged by Obama, the COP21, Paris Accord, climate change agreement, pieces of human excrement technocrats tried to pull the wool over our eyes. And guess what? The Supreme Court kicked them swiftly in the nads, handcuffed them, and showed them the door. And that is a win for everybody. And if you guys missed it, please check out my Tuesday Newsday video this week. Geoengineering Tuesday Newsday on Tuesday of this week. Had a whole bunch of stuff in there. The U.S. government is developing a solar geoengineering research plan. So I guess, hey, they're kicking us in the balls with the EPA thing. I guess we better just go ahead and start spending some money on geoengineering research. So President Brandon has conveniently signed that agreement, and he'll be funding geoengineering research while taking 5 billion gallons from the strategic oil reserve and sending it to other countries like China and Europe because climate change, because gas prices. But you know what? Screw you, Americans. We'll take the gas that we save for the military for extreme situations, and we'll just, take up. I mean, it's literally a drop. It's less than a day's worth of gas, 5 billion gallons worth of oil, and send it to frickin' China. China. Oh my God. But anyway, I'm not going to let any of that bother me. You know why? Because today's a win, and a win's a win. And I'm very stoked about it. Go back and watch my EPA speech. I stand by it 7 years later, every single word of it. And I think that that's freaking epic. And that's an epic win. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to enjoy the win and have a nice little weekend here. And I'll see you on the next Tuesday News Day. I had planned something doing the chat Friday. Something's come up. You can't avoid these things. That's why I'm so late tonight. It's been kind of crazy week. Looking forward to the kids going back to school, because then I'll be able to make these videos during the morning while they're at school. More videos more often and all that. And anyway, love you, mean it. With information comes power, and with power comes great responsibility. So please use the information that I provide free of charge on ClimateViewer.com, ClimateViewer.org, and WeatherModificationHistory.com to attack ideas, not people. Love you, mean it. If the video resonates with you, leave me a comment, because I love hearing from y'all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Yeah! Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.